The Legend of Zelda, a video game released in 1986, was met with critical acclaim worldwide and became very influential in the video game industry. Games like Okami and Darksiders were influenced by Zelda, and indie gems such as The Binding of Isaac and Death's Door came to be because of The Legend of Zelda. One game in particular that was inspired by Zelda was Tunic, a game that has been in development since 2015 and came out this year. The game was made by Andrew Schedice and published by Finji, the same company who published Night in the Woods. It was met with generally favorable reviews by critics, who praised its boss battles, world, music, and art style. Yet they also criticized its fast travel restrictions and small but flawed enemy AI. I think Tunic is pretty damn great, however, I do have critiques too. Tunic should be played because of its gameplay and story, but people should be aware of its genre. Tunic has amazing gameplay, and I adore it. Tunic is an action-adventure game like The Legend of Zelda, thus it has a lot of puzzles and enemies to fight. Tunic has many puzzles the player will need to solve, and these puzzles can be easy or really freaking hard depending on your puzzle skills. Personally, even though I had to use a guide at times, I still really enjoyed doing the puzzles, and to me, they were the perfect combination of creative and easy yet challenging. The enemies and bosses in Tunic are challenging too, yet rewarding as it allows the player to move forward with the game. You have to stick with a sword most of the time, but you can also acquire magic, bombs, and a freaking gun. These weapons are pretty damn fun to use and powerful too. Although all of this is great, the enemies and bosses can be pretty infuriating to fight, though this will be discussed in the genre portion of the video. Overall, Tunic has some pretty great gameplay. Tunic has an amazing story, and I really liked it for what it is. I'm not going to spoil the entire damn thing, but essentially it's about a fox hero collecting some triangles that are like the Triforce. When they do, a plot twist happens, and there it goes now. However, they reconnect with their lost body and finish their quest. Now, there's obviously a lot more going on here, so much so that there are two different endings. One of them is beating the final boss, and the other is about collecting some pages for your handy notebook guide. The story is pretty hard to follow if you don't have a clue about what's going on. The weird text is hard to understand too, since Tunic actually rarely uses Latin languages to portray what's going on. That's the beauty of all of it though. You're supposed to uncover secrets as you go, and learn a lot by the end of it. Overall, Tunic has an amazing yet odd story, and it being odd is what makes the story pleasant to follow. Tunic is a cruel and hard game to get used to, and it being inspired by Souls games doesn't help either. This is the genre thing I talked about earlier in the video. You see, Souls games like Dark Souls tend to not be friendly to newcomers, and they'll purposely be harsh to newcomers because of the difficulty of the enemies and bosses. Tunic is no exception, unfortunately. Even though the beginning enemies are easy enough, the game gets hard quickly. Harder enemies, bosses, and an enemy rush mode will all frustrate you, coupled with the fact that you have a stamina bar, which doesn't make things easier at all. This is what makes the game very hard, and in my opinion it loses some points because of that. I'm not too big of a Souls fan myself, and I do appreciate those games, really. However, the Souls mechanic becomes frustrating to me when the enemy rush comes in, which has you fighting multiple enemies in one sitting, and you can't even save your progress in between those fights. Overall, while this mechanic is pretty hard, I don't think it truly negates my opinion of Tunic, just slightly if anything. Tunic was a pretty damn great time for me, and I really enjoyed playing through the story and finding secrets along the way. While it has an odd genre of gaming to me, I still found it rewarding to push forward and complete. Overall, this game is a good play, and I give it an 8.3 out of 10. Play it when you can. it's worth it for sure.